In this video, I'm going to show you a few tricks that you need to know about to make sure you're maximizing the performance of ArchiCAD. I'm also going to show you a few items of the doors and windows in particular that can be a little tricky that you need to watch out for. Now, the first thing is we have all of these windows with the same ID number, and that's not going to work. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to select all of the windows in the order I want them to renumber. I'm going to hover to the inside of the wall so I don't accidentally get the wall. Wait till it's blue, then click. And then I'm going to go up to Document, Listing Extras, Element ID. And all I need is the window type selected, no criteria. I want unique ID for each element. And in here, I have this set up, not used, text, which is a W, counter, 2 digits. And I hit change ID, it's going to give me and tell me renumbered all these. And then all of these now are labeled and ordered. I didn't have to go round and round getting them that to happen manually. Notice that the element ID is here if I did need to modify this. There it is. There's also some features that I want you to notice. Let's go back to the marker itself. So we're using the W window marker 23. We're set to 22 pixel points for the circle. Now remember, a point is, it takes 72 points to make an inch. So that's a good thing to know about. We're overriding all of the text and the lines work and everything with this blue uniform pen. That makes it simple. So even though that this is set to this pink color, it's going to override with blue. And we can set the scale of our text. This again is points. Now here we have a lot of choices, and you want to kind of set this up initially. Most of these should come as a default. Here, these numbers I like to use: 30, 0, 15, 20, 8. These and this fit shape to text can be useful when you have longer text names and you want the circle to expand automatically. Then in this content ID, this one's critical. This one has caused a lot of problems where someone has overwritten the ID manually with this custom text, and you keep changing the ID over here where you think it should work, and it never shows up. Also, this hot link and the element ID can cause some problems. So just select element ID. Here's the CIL. It's the measured value. Again, you can accidentally override with some default text and can't figure out why it won't change. We're using the word CIL. And just go through all of these and make sure that they're set up the way you want. Now, another thing that can be tricky is we generally are controlling the header. Sometimes you want to use the CIL height, but usually we'd like to track headers. It just makes it easier to compare heights from doors to windows. But in some cases, and I think in most cases, it's better to do to the story. Now, this isn't always true, but it's often true. So let's say that the wall needs to get pulled down on the second floor because of, we want the siding to overlap the slab that exists between the first story wall and the second story wall. So we want to take the upstairs wall and drag the bottom to touch the wall below, or you might do it where the bottom wall extends up to the wall on the second floor. In either case, we don't want the header of the door or window to be associated with the bottom of the wall. We want it to be to the story. And you can select which story it's going to anchor to here. And so even if you pull the wall up or down, the door window is going to remain at that same height. The only time this isn't going to work is if you have multiple levels on your story. Maybe you have a sunken living room, or the back of the house is elevated a couple of steps. Then you're going to want to force it to follow either the wall base or the wall top. And that's just something you're going to have to work through on a case-by-case basis, but it's something to bear in mind. So I'll select that, and here was a good example where I added the A to the element. It expanded. If I take that out, it reduces it. And if you want to have these as a consistent size, then you're going to have to force them to be a particular number, because it thought it needed to be a little bit bigger than it actually did. So I'm going to hold these numbers. Just keep in mind that you do want those IDs to fall within the symbol itself. A couple of other things to note. Already showed you how to move the properties from one type of opening to another. That's an important thing to deal with. I think also where we show in so many choices. Some of these windows will actually open for us, and encasements, for example, it's nice to be able to show them open so you know if it's a left or a right visually, instead of having to rely on an interpretation of what left and right means. Now, this particular object does allow us to open. So sometimes you may want to just open these just a little bit. And you can, either use a specific value or you can just eyeball it. It's nice to set them up in such a way that it's not interfering with your symbol. So even bringing this back a little bit, that's good enough. I think it's a little too much. When you do it like this, it can all of a sudden look just exactly like a door. So if you just open your windows just a little bit, now these are single casements, and I've inadvertently modeled them as doubles. So, and let's go through the process of fixing that. Now this one is a casement, and this one should be a double. So we're going to take these properties, we're going to go to the window, we're going to inject them. Before we click on this, we're going to inject the properties to a double casement. Oops, I want to go to a double casement. I'm going to inject those with Control Alt. And now I've taken all the properties, the size, everything, and I've just changed the object type. So now you can see that this is a window, a double casement window, whereas we can take the properties here and I'm going to inject those into a single casement. Everything stays the same. The ID stays the same. Now I can inject that into this window itself, and I can do, well, let's see what happens. It's going to change our numbering, which is not something I wanted to do. And let's use this tool again. We're going to start with 3, document, element ID, and we're going to start with 3. So this is also the starting point. We're going to change it, and boom, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and grab this one, put it in here, and now we need to change this to an 8. Now another choice, and it's not something I use very often, but let's take a look at it. We can create a new transfer. And we're going to make that a window. We're going to turn off. We're transferring everything, which is probably more than we need to do. But if we want to control the ID separately, and it's just a million parameters. It's pretty impressive, but we're going to not include the ID. So let's put, instead of making it specific to the window, let's just put not ID. Hit OK. And now we can take the parameters as an example of this window and inject it and we select over here not ID. So it changed every other parameter except the ID. So that can be a really handy feature as well. And then that becomes the default for the next time around. So use that. I haven't ever used that before, and I'm pretty excited. So let's try this here. We're gonna select these doors. Let's see what happens if that wall's selected. I don't think it's going to be a problem. Document, element ID manager. Now instead of the window, we want a door. We're going to make this a D. We're going to start with O1, change the IDs. Kaboom. Oh, you guys probably noticed me doing that and didn't say anything. So I'll put a capital D here. Redo it. And notice we had some odd behaviors here. And I think that we're going to find that that's because in the marker, it's this hot link. We want element ID. And let's try it one more time. And it worked. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So some little nuanced tools here. The door and windows, we could probably do an entire hour and a half on doors and windows. Not going to do that right now, but it definitely gives you a few more tricks to use when you're doing your door and windows. Oh, what is that? We'll make that 101. Make it a little different. And this might be a case where we want to use fit shaped text. Yeah, I don't like it. Makes it too big. We can get a preview here. That looks better. All right. Looks good to me.